What about your final appearance on Letterman made it so emotional for you?
Well, because what made it emotional was that's where my life changed. I mean, first of all, it was just to get on the show and be and you know, have Dave give me the accolades he did and all that is good enough. But then for what happened after that, I mean, my life changed. My children's life, my family, everything changed for me. So, and he was like a hero of mine. So, and over the course of the years, then it's 20 years later, I've been on the show over 35 times, you know, and it was always my favorite thing to do. And every year I would write down stuff in the back of my book whenever I thought of something funny. I go, that's good for Letterman. That's good for Letterman, you know, because I always had to have like 15 minutes of new stuff every time I went. So when it was ending, it was just you know, and now I'm in my 50s, the show's over. I look back at that time, there's such a magic to it. You know, my kids are little, and I'm out there, you know, trying to make it in the business, and this was the moment. If I have to pick one moment, this was the moment. And it's all gonna end, you know, he's going away, and it's not gonna be the same, and it caught up with me, you know.
Oh my God, I fear change. This was the chapter of my life. This is how my life started, and it was this one thing, and then now that it's over, the world's falling apart.
Okay, so
if you are Savior OE, it's like, yeah, that was sad. Anyways, new, on to new. Every death is a new rebirth.
Yeah.
And this is the fear of change.
Yes.
Fear of a new chapter.
Completely.
Like, this is end of the world talk.
Right.
My career's over, my life's over. I'm not saying that literally, but like you can see that's the fear he's trying to process.
Right.
Is that this is such a big, bad deal. Didn't he have like a hard time too? Like after like Letterman stopped and Raymond stopped,
Yep.
like I don't remember, but like I think he had a hard time really
Big time.
processing what is the next chapter in life.
That's terrifying. Okay, so let me process that for 2 seconds. So with every single type, we'll call them either, you know, the IJ, we'll talk about the lead human need. IJ, IP, EP, EJ. That lead function, gosh, it's so funny how much of us can't even see it.
Yeah.
We really can't see it. We'll stare at other functions and be like, that's me, but just can't see what we're doing all the time. But we're literally processing that first function all the time.
The fear of that human need.
And if you start really, like if you really want to get to know me, it's like if you start going back and watching all these videos of me talking, you will hear all the time, if you filter everything through this one NI concept of everything out of my fucking mouth is going to be about Fairsies. Oh, it's not the same. It's not fair. Let's all work together.
Fairsies and respect.
Fairsies,
like
respect. Yeah, that 2 coins. So that's something that you need to actually be like, if you really want to get to know somebody and you really want to get to know yourself, own the hell out of that first function. That's what all of us are doing. You'll go and have a conversation and think you're talking to somebody, but really they're just a program that's spitting that out. Oh,
Yeah.
I'm an EJ, so I have to talk about, well, they weren't fair and they weren't fair and they weren't fair and they lost respect and that wasn't fair.
And the IJ is trying to process new and security.
Security.
New, yeah. Just
change
and security.
Right, completely. Constantly trying to process change. Why? Because they find themselves and get themselves into nostalgia, the same nostalgia. It's not the same. I want it to be the same.
Right.
I want it to be the same. I'm obsessed with it being the same. And what's scary is, as an IJ, I got myself so the samed that the only way I would have ever even made it out of it was Letterman, who, by the way, was his change agent,
right.
who's lead
Responsible
play.
Right. Yeah, Letterman was the one that broke into my IJ bubble and gave me the change. I would have never done it. Letterman did it, which is why he's so attached all these years to Letterman.
Right, completely.
Thank you for the change. That's the same thing that I say.
Right.
It's the same thing I say. Like, I got into YouTube because my ex-wife made me do it.
Right.
Made me do it. She's like, you're down at the field doing these crazy airplanes.
Let's
you
put
need
them
to
on
film
YouTube.
this. I'm like, yeah, go ahead, whatever. She's like, you need to put it online. I'm like, yeah, go ahead. She's like,
You can thank his ex-wife.
I started a YouTube account. I'm like, I don't want anything to do with it.
Completely.
She's like, your YouTube account has thousands of views. I'm like, okay, I'm listening. That's my story.
That's how
Same
intense
with
it
like
was.
personality. Like, hey, you need to look at this personality stuff. No,
Nah,
thanks.
I'm good. I've got enough information here.
I'm doing fine. I'm doing fine. I'm hanging blinds and I'm doing RC cars and RC
Yeah.
airplanes by myself. I don't need any of that.
Right, absolutely.
So the change agents have to be thrust upon the IJ.
That's the IJ game. IPs, every single IP is going to constantly be processing respect. You didn't respect me. I didn't get respect. And of course, this is every DI, but like, you didn't respect me. I wasn't respected. I was not looked up to. That's what they're going to constantly be processing. Respect. EPs, absolutely.
And the IJ, it's my life was going like this, and then there was a massive change that moved me up, or there was a massive change that moved me down, none of which I had any control over. It just hit me. I remember somebody asking, they're like, okay, so if you're an IJ and you never get anything new, then how did you get a new pocket knife or a new shirt or a new toy?
Somebody forced it upon me.
That's I was looking at that like, it's so fucking true. Like the joke I did on the YouTube with the pocket knife, like Jiraiya sent it to me,
Yeah.
like as a fucking joke,
Thank
you
you,
know?
Jiraiya.
Yeah, or as a present, which turned into a joke. I
And
interpreted
he has lead play as well. He's the
and
same
now
type as me.
I won't let go of the knife. Yeah, his lead play. Like having to fill the here's something new. Bonk.
Oh yeah, and it's fascinating because that is the role of the OE. The role of the OE is I need to disrupt. I
yeah.
need to be the one to destroy this, to uplift this, to change
But
this
it's
for the
it's
sake
just
of
like
new.
fairsies and respect. Like you don't want to have too
Oh,
much
yeah.
respect because now you're a dictator. You don't want to have too much fairsies. Now we're all drowning in the shit pit.
Right.
It's just like you don't want to have too much control and order for too long.
Yeah.
Because now it's getting outdated. But
Right.
but what I see, you know, this my savers can see with the damn OEs. It's like because they're trying to change it so fucking often,
Oh, yeah.
they won't even allow 2 blocks to build. Like
Right.
there's a balance of like, look, get some kind of order for some sort of time. Just
Yeah.
kind of processing this out loud, since this is a therapy session for me. The thing that I'm trying to really do, because I am fucking nuts like this guy,
Yeah.
is I'm trying to use time more, time and teamwork. Of like I don't trust you because you're fucking crazy, and I sure as hell don't trust me because I'm fucking crazy. So I'm trying to use time. Try like, okay, if it's been 3 months.
Objective something.
Yeah, so objective something. 3 months, 6 months, you know, like paying
Yeah.
attention to that, whether it's, you know, some kind of goals or business or whatever of like, okay, at the end of the year is a big one I use. 3 months is what I use a lot of 3 months, 3 months
Right,
brackets.
right.
And the end of the year where I'm like, okay, those 2 time
You'll
periods.
wake up when it's the end of
wake
the
up
year.
and examine, is this too much the same? Is there too much change going on? Probably not. Is this too much the same and there needs to be change? And like every time I
Yeah.
look like, oh fuck, there is a backlog of needs to be new here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Completely. That's really good. So that's going to be the reoccurring struggle that Ray is dealing with.
The more I unconsciously consume that haircut and beard, I'm thinking that might look kind of good there. I got to do something new here. This glued-on hairpiece of mine is just sliding off the side. I gotta get a new one of these.